Hello humans, today I have a short ranting video on Doom. This game is coming to Nintendo Switch. I have this game on PC, I love it, and so I thought it warranted having its own video. And honestly, I am very excited about this game. But I think we should all have our excitement in check. I know everybody wants this game on the Switch and it's coming to the Switch, and that's perfect, but let's just keep the let's just keep our expectations in reality. Okay, so I want to talk about the game, how it's made, the possible limitations on the Switch, and just go into more detail about this game. Check out my giveaway info in the description. Any reference material in this video will be linked in the description. Ready? Let's go. First, let's start with a little history of Doom 2016. Not too many details, just the basic. This game was first introduced in Quake Con 2014. This game was originally going to run on an older game engine called ID Tech 5, but during the reveal we found out that it will be running in ID Tech 6 or id Tech 6. id Tech 6 is made by id Software. Duh. They make Quake, Rage, and Doom. They are a part of ZeniMax Media Inc. They are located in Dallas-Fort Worth in North Texas. This engine also runs Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus and Doom VFR. No surprise there. Like I said, I do have this game on PC, so I will focus on comparing the PC version that I have with my hardware to the Switch version. Here are my PC specs, the relevant ones anyway. Entry-level graphics card, XFX AMD Radeon RX 460 with 4GB of RAM, double dissipation. It has two fans basically. CPU, I went with the entry level also. Pentium G4600 running at 3.6 GHz with 2 real cores with hyperthreading, so you get 4 cores. I am using 24 GB of DDR4 RAM at 2133 GHz. I have a solid state hybrid drive, 1 TB, and I think the rest of the specs, case and everything you don't really care about, right? If you want to find out more, linked in the description. I got Doom for $30 right before it dropped to 15 or 20 or 10 or something. I was so pissed, but whatever. The game is definitely worth more than $30. I got it on Steam, and if you look at the installation folder for this game, you will see that it's 67 gigabytes. This game is huge, and that is just the installation without the save files. As we all know, the Nintendo Switch only has 32 gigabytes of room, and less after the OS is installed. This will be interesting to see. If you buy digital, you will need at least 128 gigabytes for a micro SD card. 64 is already too small, and that's only for this one game. 128 gigabytes micro SD card costs around $45. I got mine for $36. It was on sale before the Switch came out, but right now it's like $40, $45. The game will cost around $60, probably, for digital, most likely, so you need to spend over $100 just for this game. I don't know if people are going to pay that for this game. Of course, the micro SD card, you can put other stuff on it too, right, if you get the 128 gigabytes, but not too much. You may say, well, Red, that's not a problem. That's why Nintendo uses large cartridges now. Okay, well, if you remember, there was this huge backlash for Nintendo and the game NBA 2K18. Remember what happened then? They said that if you buy a game like this one on a cartridge, you will sometimes not be able to play the entire game out of the box. Meaning that even if you buy Doom on a cartridge, you will still need a micro SD card most likely. This is a problem because this game is huge. And all of this that I'm saying is before I read this article, and I'll talk about the article I read in a little bit. However, there is a chance that this game won't be as big on the Switch. For this, we need to understand what the Switch has for hardware. A teardown shows that the Switch has NVIDIA Tegra T210 The T210 CPU features 4 Cortex A57 and 4 Cortex A53 processor cores, and the GPU is a GM20B Maxwell core. I really couldn't find any info on how this compares to a PC GPU. All we know is that the GPU is a Maxwell based 256 core, and while docked it runs at 768 MHz or 786 gigaflops using the half precision floating point format. And we know this officially supports Vulkan, OpenGL 4.5, and OpenGL ES. My entry-level $110 graphics cards paired with an $80 CPU has this as specs: speed of 1220 MHz, 896 stream processors, and 4 GB of RAM, running at 7000 MHz. This also supports Vulkan DirectX 12 and OpenGL 4.5. If you've seen my gameplay, I can run Doom on this card at 1080p on high details consistently at over 50 frames per second. On Ultra it drops down to 30 and it's just not good. You may see lower FPS because when I am recording I don't use a capture card and that affects my FPS. So what does this mean and how does it relate to the game size? Well, the Switch is less powerful than my entry-level GPU by a good margin, I think. However, I don't think Doom will run at 1080p on Switch. Remember, Zelda Breath of the Wild was supposed to run at 720p in handheld mode, or at least we were expecting that because that is the resolution of the screen, but it actually drops to 1152 by 678, which is 81% of 720p, and in docked mode, when it's supposed to run at 1600 by 900, it drops to 90% of that, which is 1440 by 810. This information is linked in another article in the description. Okay, so Doom may run at this resolution, or it may even run at 720p in docked mode and even lower in handheld mode. I don't know exactly the specs, but that's what I'm guessing, and I think that's an educated guess. And this is where we go into the size. If Doom can't run at 1080p on Switch, and I think we can say that with confidence, then the maps and texture files won't need to be as big, meaning we can drop the size a little and may be able to get it on a 64GB micro SD card. Makes sense, right? Less details means less data storage, which means less room that you need to store it on. So this is all just speculation, right? So what did Doom do? What is Bethesda doing? They came up with a decent solution to this problem, which I kind of like, but I kind of don't like. In an article in Engadget, linked in the description, Bethesda indicated that the campaign for Doom will be on the cartridge and multiplayer will be downloaded. This to me is somewhat acceptable, only if, and I don't think this is going to happen, but if you can play Doom campaign on the cartridge and then take the cartridge out when you want to play multiplayer, which I don't think is going to happen, but if you can do that, if let's say you're at Starbucks or you're waiting for somebody or you're at school or whatever, and you just want to play some multiplayer for a little bit, but you don't want to be carrying extra cartridges with you, if you leave that cartridge at home, I would like to see you be able to put another cartridge in there like Mario Kart or anything else and still be able to run multiplayer for Doom on your Switch without having to use the cartridge. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's just, I think that would be ideal, I guess, right? So they will split up the game, half on the cartridge, half on the micro SD card, right? Okay, so that to me will make it okay. However, this does not excuse them from still having to use a micro SD card for parts of the game. If you already went out and bought the cartridge, then the cartridge should be big enough for this game. If not, you'll essentially end up with 2 cartridges basically. The one that Doom came on and the micro SD card. Or you can go digital and hopefully only need a 64GB micro SD card for this one game. Okay, and so to summarize, Doom is coming on Switch. If you buy physical, you will also need a micro SD card. If you go digital, you may need a much larger micro SD card. But if the resolution is a little lower, we may be able to get the digital download size of the game under 64GB. Last note, and this involves Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. We don't know the official system requirements yet. I was looking for them online and I couldn't find them. but I can't imagine that it's much lower than 60 gigabytes for storage needed. So potentially, to get this one game with Doom, you will need at least 128 gigabytes for both of these games. Or you may need two of those. Maybe Wolfenstein 2 may be enough for maybe Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus will use the same method of splitting up its game, and if it does, then that's somewhat better than having to download everything on your micro SD card, right? In which case, a 64 gigabyte micro SD card may be enough for both of these games if you buy physical. But you'll still need the two cartridges and the micro SD card to store the multiplayer potentially of both games. If you buy digital, you may need more than 128 gigabytes of extra storage. And I have a 128 gigabyte card in my Switch right now, and I only have 110 left. I say only, but still a good chunk, right? At least you can use the cartridge for part of the game, not unlike Xbox or PlayStation where you must install the complete game on your hard drive to play. I am not defending Nintendo, I'm just saying that let's look at it in the context of the other consoles too, where even if you buy the whole disc and the whole game is on the disc and the Blu-ray, you still have to install it on your Xbox. Now of course, that's not a portable console, so that's not really much of a problem, but still, you buy the physical game and you still need to install it on your computer or on your console. But both of these scenarios for consoles are less than ideal. I mean, I have many games on my gaming PC, and that's why I have 3 terabytes installed in it. 3 terabytes, that's 24 micro SD cards of 128 gigabytes. The 3 terabytes total cost me $110. I bought a 2 terabyte drive and a 1 terabyte hybrid drive. If you buy 24 of those, that's 24 times 40. That's a lot of money. That's 400, 800, 1200. That's $1,160, $80, more or less. $1,100 for that much room in micro SD cards. Okay, that's it. Thanks for listening to my Doom on Nintendo Switch rant. Go get a cookie, you've earned it. I'll catch you on my next video. Bye.